another session of Migrant Career Support Trust. Today we are talking on mental health and well-being and resilience in the time of COVID. This topic is anyways very important. We all keep talking about mental health and resilience, but COVID has added many layers of uncertainty, many layers of stress and anxiety in our everyday lives and even the working life. A lot of problems we're hearing from students and what they face in their regular life, plus the uncertainties that have come in the workplace because of COVID. Added to that, we were just discussing about how the international borders are closed and the anxiety of being away from your family, and that too for an undefined period. And all these issues are adding to the stress. So to deal with a lot of these things, we have been able to get some very good experts today with us who will talk on different aspects of this problem. And like there is no one solution to this kind of a problem. And that's why we have 4 experts who will be giving their views, their experience, and a few practical tips as well, which can really help you, overcome this problem in some way or the other. So that's just a small effort from our side, and we hope you like today's session. I'll quickly give a brief introduction on the speakers who will be joining us today, and then we'll invite them in detail. So first we have Nish Pai, who's the head of learning experience in MITRE 10. Nish Pai will be talking to us on the circle of influence and control and the 5 points of power. So it's all about how you can manage your circle of influence and how you can control some circumstances which are looking out of control. I think that's in summary of what Nish would be sharing with us. Then we have Dash Bedi. So Dash is, thank you Dash for joining us. He's the recruitment consultant at Manukau Jobs and Skills Hub. He's also a career counselor and has been in the recruitment industry for many years. He brings a lot of vital knowledge and experience on how this industry is changing and what are the challenges our candidates face now and how we can overcome them. So thank you, Dash, for joining us today. Next up, we'll have Chao Chen. Chao has very happily agreed to join us from her MIQ in China. She's right now, in MIQ to visit her family. Thank you, Chao, for joining us from all the way from China. So Chao will be talking to us about mindfulness and life coaching, which is actually a long-term solution to the problems we face. And I'm just waiting to hear some of those treasured thoughts, from her and how it can, transform our lives. So thank you, Chao, for taking time out for us. And next up will be Dr. Channa. He will be joining us a little later, and he's a psychiatrist and will be talking on the clinical side of things and giving us some advice on how we can deal with any immediate issues. So that's the panel, and after a 10-minute session from each speaker, we have an open panel discussion where we debate and discuss all these issues, and you're free to put in your questions either on the chat or in the discussion time. We will open up all the audio. I will unmute you and you can have direct questions there. So with that, I'll quickly introduce Nish, and we'll start with Nish first. So Nish Pai is the head of learning experience at MITRE 10. She has been in the learning profession for the last 20 years across 3 countries and 6 industries, helping people find their passion and purpose. An award-winning instructional designer, certified organizational coach, executive leadership expert, and psychometric assessor. She strives every day to create safe spaces, celebrate congenitive diversity, and empower high performance. Wow, what an introduction to her. So that's quite a punchful there. So welcome, Nish. I give the podium to you now. Over to you.
I swear I'm not as serious as that intro. It's just
Yes,
a lot of words strung together to say that I enjoy being with people and helping them grow.
yes.
So what I would like to do today is possibly for the next 10 minutes, share a couple of tools which have, to say it non-dramatically, as non-dramatically as possible, saved my life. So I would love to share. None of these are intellectual property righted tools. These are available all over in every single coaching workshop you'll go to. You'll speak to experts. They will come back to these two fundamental tools of how do you DIY your own growth. And so I'll share a couple of slides with you so that's pretty visible. I'm a very visual thinker, so I like to see as I speak. So I'll share a couple of slides. At any point of time you want to stop me, ask me questions. In fact, I think Gary suggests that we save the questions for after the 10 minutes. So I'm going to launch into my little presentation for you right now. Let me share my screen. Give me a second. Let me know if you're able to see this.
Yeah, we can see this. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So what I'm going to do over the next 10 minutes is very quickly take you through a couple of tools or three questions, actually. How do I DIY my own growth? How do I not depend on other people to fuel my performance? And as you heard from Gary, I've been in the corporate sphere for 20 years now. And in those 20 years, I've gone through ebbs and flows of my own career, done really well, been at the bottom of the valley and then come back up again. And there were certain things I had to do to pull myself up when I was at the deepest low. And this is what my journey started on. Now, here we are in a pandemic, very much like any kind of a flux, any kind of a stressful situation in your life, except that this is quite unique. We're constantly going between normal and crisis, normal and crisis, and normal and crisis. And there's something happening to our nervous system. There's something happening to our mindset that we need to be intensely aware of. And there are three ways in which our body and mind are reacting to the circumstances around us. What are the three ways? Number one, either you're looking at the situation around you, you're looking at the lockdown, you're looking at what has happened to your career, to your studies, to your professional life, your personal life, whatever it is, and you're fighting it. And you're saying, no, this is wrong. This cannot happen to me. And you're going into a scattergun approach, spray and pray is what I call it. You're trying anything and everything and nothing is landing and it's overwhelming you. It's giving you loads of anxiety. Or you're taking flight, where you're hiding under the blanket possibly and saying, oh my God, no, this is not happening at all. If I just hide, things will go away. Or you're freezing, you're going into victim mode and you're saying, I'm a loser. Whatever I put my hands to just goes to complete chaos. I'm a loser, I'm a victim, I can't get out of this. So fight, flight, freeze, whatever mode you've taken, you have possibly realize that you're wasting your energy, you're wasting your skills. And that's pretty much the reason you pressed on register for this particular session. So now that we have looked at what our reality could be, so what? What do I do now? Well, number one, awareness that you need help, awareness that you need others to share your burden with, awareness that there could be a way out is the start of any change. So thank you for coming along. Thank you for joining this session. But number two, I want to take you through three questions that absolutely have been my lifesavers across my career. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Question number one, what am I doing to build optimism? Now, I don't talk about positivity. I'm all the time smiling and laughing and thinking that the world is going to be one cheery sunflower field. I don't mean that kind of a toxic positivity. I'm talking about optimism, and optimism, which is a beautiful balance of positivity plus hope, realism plus hope. So how are we planning to build that? What's your mindset at this point of time? What are you doing to build up optimism? Second, your skills. What are you doing to build your learning muscles? A continuous learning mindset is possibly the only thing that can save us from stagnation and growth. And so what are we doing to build our learning muscles? Third one, your network. What are you doing to build your relationships? Optimism, learning muscles, relationships. If any of my young team, and I have 12 of them, talk to me about how to grow their career, these are the only three questions I ask them. If I have to hire someone on my team, these are the only three questions I ask them. I say, what do you do to build positivity or optimism in your life? What do you do to learn on a daily basis? And what do you do to build your relationships? Let's deep dive a little bit into this. Busy slide. I wanted to give you loads of notes to take back, but let's concentrate on the diagram on the right-hand side, which talks about the three circles you could divide your entire life into. Now, if you could do this little activity with me as I speak through it, you might see how you can limit your area of overwhelm, your area of anxiety. Number one, let's start with the biggest circle, the circle of concern. Now, the circle of concern could have things like, what is Jacinda going to do at the next traffic light? Are we going to go back into the alert level because of Omicron? What about the politics? Who's the latest national party leader? Or it could be environment. There's so much of pollution. What are we going to do about global warming? It could be around things that are beyond your control. There are so many things in our circle of concern. It could be Game of Thrones. It could be the next Netflix show that doesn't seem to match up to your standards. It could be anything at all. There are so many things that we constantly worry about, that constantly occupy our brain. So you have so many things, and obviously it's no wonder that we end up going through each day feeling we can't take it anymore. Add COVID to this, add job loss to this, add loss of your family, friends, the distance that all of this has caused us between our home lands and us. There's so much that can pull you away, take away your energy, take away your focus. And then we're supposed to be in a constant state of growth. The two things just don't sit right together. Now, if you look at that big circle, which is the circle of concern, I'm going to ask you to start limiting it now. Look at the smaller inner circle, which is the darker circle over here, called the circle of influence. Now, this is the circle of influence of people you can actually do something about, maybe not directly, but you can influence people's actions and behaviors and thoughts. For example, if you're worried about global warming, you can recycle a little bit. If you're worried about the virus, you can teach other people about sanitization. If you're worried about politics, well, maybe you can take part in the next election campaign. Simple things that you can do to influence. And then comes the best circle of the lot, and which is where we should be all the time, which is the circle of control. Of all of these things, if you could find that sweet spot of things that you can directly change, that is where true resilience lies. Can I do anything about the world around me and their actions and their behaviors? Maybe I can influence some, but what can I directly control? My thoughts, my actions, my behavior, my habits, my rituals. And that is pretty much the only secret I can give you to mental resilience. A little example for you over here. Take a look at this. Weather, world peace, threat of war, government policy, death, where you were born, traffic, economy, prices, cyber threats, strangers' comments. Oh my God, does this take a lot of our time and energy? Strangers' comments on forums and social media, celebrities' behavior and opinions, and it goes on and on and on and on. When it comes to influence, my reputation, whether I get promoted, where I work, how much my partner loves me, who I vote for, you have some influence, my children's future, but not really. And at the end of it, my thoughts, my words, my actions, my reactions, my decisions, my attitude, my mood, and my integrity or my work ethic. And so this is tool number one. How do I build this map for myself? So I'm giving back the power on a daily basis to what I can control. When I talk about power, my favorite word is a continuous learning mindset. I am the head of learning. So, well, no surprises over there. But very often, this is where we think power lies, position. If I was a manager, if I was a leader, if I had money, if I had hierarchical position, then I could change things. And I'm going to challenge that a little bit for you guys. A continuous learning mindset means you find yourselves more points of power. As students, as continuous learners, what knowledge do I have? What task do I do really well? What personal skills do I have? Knowledge could be certifications, it could be degrees, it could be knowledge, information that you have collected, research that you have done. Tasks could be something that you're really adept at, skillful at, and you have built that over a point of time. Personal is your leadership skills, your behavioral skills that make you stand out, be rare and unique in your social circles. These are three powers that we always deny ourselves, that we don't talk about much, either because of a false sense of humility or we just don't know that it's a power. And then the fourth one that I really am very keen to talk to you about in just a little while is relationship. How do we leverage these points of power in our life? Number one, by leaving the comfort zone. The growth happens when you leave the comfort zone. Second, when you self reflect with humility. Unless you're having a constant conversation with yourself about what you're good at, what you're not, and how you can get better at what you want to really grow around, there's not much point. Listen to people willing to invest in your growth. You don't have to listen to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, all your neighbors, all people who have an opinion or two, but listen to people willing to invest in your growth. Aggressively curate and collect ideas and information, and which is why it gives me a lot of joy to see new faces on these calls. And be willing to fail. Be willing to fail, because we will fail. If there are 10 attempts that you make at a particular task, be willing to fail at it 9 times, maybe even the 10th. So have a continuous learning mindset and see how much knowledge, new knowledge can I pick up? What tasks can I learn and get better at, improve my expertise, go from a generalist to a specialist mode? How much of my personal behaviors can I amplify? How can I amplify my presence? If the last one, circle of control and influence, was about simplifying the stress in your life by focusing on the things you could control, here I'm expecting you to amplify your presence by saying, what else can I leverage? And while you're at it, while you're going ahead on your own and building your knowledge, building your task skills, building your personal skills, don't forget about where the real golden nugget lies, which is in the relationship zone. And the tool 3 that I want to talk to you about is collaborate with trust. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. A beautiful statistic that my head of recruitment gave me before I got onto this call. She said, Nish, maybe they want to know that 85% of new hires in 2021 are happening through networking. Who you know is as important as what you know. And if at any point of time you're sitting over there saying, I don't kiss ass, you need to stop. You need to stop. You need to go back and say, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a collaboration. We're talking about a networking, which is a two-way street. And this networking, two-way street networking, has 4 questions for you to answer. Who do I know? How do I increase that circle of influence? By the way, I believe on a LinkedIn profile, you can know 150 people really well. What's your number? I would love to know what your number is. Who do I know? How do I increase that circle of influence? How can they help me? And people will not help you if you go up to them saying, Nish, give me a job. People will help you if you're able to brand yourself with a superpower. What are you really good at? How are you marketing what you're really good at? And then follow it up with, how can I help them? How can I be of service to you? Because as I said, it's a two-way street. And then the fourth one is, the minute we get our work done, we don't split and run. We say, how do I keep this genuine? How do I build a trusting relationship with people around me? Who do I know? How can they help me? How can I help them? And how do I keep this genuine? So 3 tools. Number 1, your mindset. Number 2, a continuous learning, a growth approach. And the third one, reach out to people, ask for help, listen to what they have to tell you, and use that to fuel your future growth and performance. And that's me. That's me. JJ, I'm going to stop sharing now and hopefully see all your faces.
Wow, that was lovely, lovely. Can we give a good round of applause to
Thank you
that
so
was
much.
amazing. No, that was very nice and very well put, Nish. In a very short span of time, you've been able to, give 3 gems of tools. I was taking notes very frantically, and I love your 5 points of power. That's truly, I would say, mind blowing. And you're so right that we equate power to just a position, and we don't realize that there are many other aspects which can give you the power, and this is actually a very self-liberating thought, which we seldom look into. So thank you, Nish. I think we'll come back to you in the panel discussion, and I will now let's invite Dash next.
Cool. Great stuff, Nish.
Hi,
A
Dash.
lot of. Oh,
Yes. Can I,
yeah.
sorry, quickly give a small introduction,
Oh,
your
yeah. Sorry.
introduction to people who have
Go
just
for it.
joined?
Go for it. Go for it.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
so keen to get into it. Yeah, go for it.
Yes. So, Dash is an experienced career and recruitment professional who has worked in internal and external recruitment for 10 plus years on various capacities. He has recruited for Ministry of Innovation and Employment, MBIE, New Zealand Bus, Deloitte, Ministry of Social Development, while supporting local communities with employment outcomes and providing career advice as a mentor. Currently recruiting for trades, construction, and infrastructure industry, Dasham is excited to see the growth aspects in this sector and on the hunt for talent who's ready and willing to build Itera. Today, Dash will be talking about different aspects of job hunting. What's the kind of resilience that's required, anxiety due to COVID that it's causing, and how to overcome that. What are some tools that he will recommend to us? So thank you so much, Dash, for joining us, and over to you.
Thanks, man. Nish, that was a great sort of spiel from you. I've actually noticed some points down from that, which I'm going to be using in conversation I have with people around the community. But I think with COVID, things have changed a lot, and not denying that the labor market of New Zealand has been affected a lot as well. It's taken the industry to a different level in some places where we have shrunk in some industries, some where we have grown in industries. Industries with greater job losses like accommodation, food, transport, because of the border closures have been affected mainly because there's no tourists coming in and out of the country, or not the right amount, I guess. But on the hindsight, healthcare has increased and grown as an industry by miles. And for example, the COVID is not the only factor. Some industries like construction, which is not related to COVID, have increased because of the existing high demand of houses. So there's a number of sort of factors that has affected this. I had some stats that I pulled out from Stats New Zealand. As of December 2020, the following industries had declined a lot. Accommodation services had lost around 8,000 jobs. Transport had lost around 4,000 jobs, and retail and mining have gone around to 1,300 mark. And the industries that have gained an increase in size are healthcare and social assistance, gone up by 8,000, construction gone up by 8,500, public administration has gone up by 7,000, agriculture, forestry, electrical trades have gone up by, say, 1,500 mark. So that is just telling you that New Zealand as a country is going into a different sort of growth stage, and it's industries that are growing now for the people that are coming forward, or the youth who's going to be studying in universities and schools. They need to be looking at the industries that are growing. And those industries is where you're going to be able to make money, you're going to be able to contribute, you're going to be able to grow, and apply that the knowledge, the power that Nish just spoke about in a previous presentation as well. This brings to a question of how do we job search in this sort of environment, because everything is so uneven, everything is so unprecedented. If I was currently 21, coming out of school or university, finished a degree, I'll be in the circle of concern, thinking about what's happening, right? I want to get into the influence and I want to get there fast. So I have some, tips which I'll just talk about. If you're listening, you can write them down because this conversation is recorded. You can always revisit it again. As individuals and companies adapt to coronavirus, the job hiring process has evolved. Companies are still hiring, but the process of interviewing has changed. The interviews have gone virtual. A lot of them have gone virtual. A lot of them have gone psychometric. We had them before as well, but it's more usage for them. The go-to sessions are Zoom, like we are in right now, Skype, Teams, all these new platforms that we hardly used, but now we have been using them a lot. If you are a creative, flexible, patient person, you'll succeed. But some of us don't have all these qualities at once. We have introverts and extroverts. People who are introverts, they don't really like talking to a computer, or they hardly have a comfortable conversation in front of a camera, and they don't often want to come out, talking about they're an introvert. So we have to be mindful that hiring is constantly shifting, and we have to evolve with the times, even the introverts. Staying positive and motivated in your job search is very, very important. I know these are very cliched terms, but positivity and motivation are the ones who are going to be driving you to getting out of bed and look for a job. Just remember, applying for a job is actually a full-time job. It's not to be taken lightly, especially in this market. So some tips to navigate you and build resilience is be ready for the hiring process to be taking a little bit longer. Companies these days, especially the bigger companies, they will take their time to screen candidates, come back to you. And that's not because they are lazy or they don't have time. It's because they're getting more applications than normal for a job. Unemployment rate, even though it's low for the whole country, but that includes all the casual, temporary, permanent, all job types, right? So you have to look at the options of what else is missing and how can you look at that option in a positive way. Expect to apply for at least double the jobs you've been applying for. I go back to the point what Nish said about spray and pray. Definitely don't do that still, but still look at the options of what else can you do to expand your pool? What other skills you have where you can apply for more than one job that you've been applying for in a week or a day. So be ready to apply for at least 5 to 10 times more jobs than you usually have been. The most effective way is, again, according to me also, and I second that with Nish, is networking. Around 60% of jobs are not advertised, and it's always going to be like that. Begin by making a list of people that you can ask for help. Look at your friends, neighbors, colleagues, LinkedIn connections. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, by the way, this is a good time to make one now. LinkedIn is a very, very effective tool, even though it's not very big in New Zealand yet, but it's getting there. If you are especially if you're looking at jobs in the corporate sector, say if you want to go to a big four, good banks, they are using LinkedIn to find people. They source candidates by using LinkedIn. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, you are in big advantage of securing something quick. You want to reach out to your networks for help after you've established who they are. Use your contacts to ask for referrals to hiring managers. And there's no shame in it. You might think you are asking for a recommendation, but in fact, it is literally just, hey, can you see if your boss or manager are hiring? I am interested in this job. And you never know, if you're a close friend who works in this industry, they might just make that call for you. And that's not a problem. You can absolutely do that without being intrusive. Being intrusive is following it up all the time and hey, can you please, can you please, can you please? Obviously don't do that, but just something on the lines of, hey, can you see if there's a possibility, right? It's the way you ask for it. Make sure your social media presence is there, but it's in the best light. I know we have Instagram, we have Facebook. This is very personal platforms, but if an employer is looking online to recruit for people, they're going to look into these platforms as well. And to be honest, jobs is now a separate icon on Facebook where people can advertise for jobs. So if you're applying for jobs on Facebook, your profile has been looked at. And if you've got a photo with a beer in it, it's not going to go down well. So make sure your photos, your information is all updated. Yeah. Am I good with time, Gary?
Akanksha?
Yeah, good with time.
She's the timekeeper. Is he okay?
Oh, cool, cool.
How much time? How much more time for him?
So you've got about 3 minutes left.
Yeah, no worries. In the healthcare industry, that's another sort of way you can sort of look at opportunities, is looking at changing your career pathway. Now, it might not apply to everybody. It applies to some people. If you have been in a career path where COVID has taken, a hit for that, look at options to have a career advice. TEC or Careers New Zealand offer that free advice for you. You can go on their website, find a career pathway consultant, and they will guide you through that process. I'm sure Charles is going to touch on that after my conversation as well. You can also look at options with TTAF, which is a Targeted Training Apprenticeship Fund. This is specific to people who want to get into trades and construction. One thing I want to clarify is construction is not just about being a laborer. They require people with civil engineering background, people with office administration experience, people who have customer service, but working in the construction industry. There's a whole heap around this industry, which is a mind block for some people, but I'm very happy to sort of break that and provide you more opportunities on what else is available in the industry. So look at a career opportunity in trades. I mean, a mate of mine who was an office person has now just qualified an electrician, and he's starting an apprenticeship next year. I mean, if that person who's like in mid-30s can do it, you are just coming out of university, absolutely you can do that as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it from a perspective of 10 minutes blurb. Absolutely happy to talk more about it in our panel discussion. Thanks.
Thank you, Dash. That was quite a intensive one, and yeah, you've given a lot of practical tips, which I always like, on how things are changing, how to adapt. And one of the one of the points that really come out is, how you said a lot of interviews are happening online, and that has definitely an impact. Like you said, many people may not be very camera friendly or are camera shy. And it may add to their vulnerability, and maybe one way is just to keep practicing it. Maybe let's look at the positive side. You can practice your speech or whatever, your pitch, before you actually present. So yes, I think these are changing times and we have to change with it. So that's quite a good point. We will definitely come back to you, Dash, with a lot of questions in the panel discussion.